What up, guys? Welcome to the Son of Wonder. Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 13 has hit. So let's conversationalize. What up, guys? So this episode definitely didn't live to the examples set by the last episode of how good one of these can be. Because the last episode was one of the best things I've ever seen, period. Crosshair story, awesome. This episode, I wouldn't even say it's a filler episode, because it's not. It does definitely establish something for the Bad Batch characters, but it's not really all that exciting either. So, it begins with Fee and the Bad Batch in this casino type place, this gambling type place. Fee and Omega are trying to negotiate with these gangsters. The gangsters are going to sell them, Fee and Omega, an artifact. They don't say what artifact it is. It looks like a sculpture of a tree. Fee and Omega give them the money, but the gangsters go back on the deal they made, and they try to have one of those centipede-looking things, poisonous centipede-looking things. They're called Calhouns, I believe, or something like that, that tried to kill Padme in Attack of the Clones. If you remember, there's one scene where she's lying in bed, and one of the many assassination attempts made on her life in that movie is Zam Wessel sends some of those centipede things after her to try to poison her. So that's one of those things. It was cool to see. But clearly the Bad Batch and Fee are aware of the gangster's shady business. So there's this really cool moment where the centipede tries to sting Fee from behind her chair, and then Hunter, being aware of the centipede, throws his vibroblade at it and stabs it to the wall. So that was really cool. Then a fight breaks out. So it was a really cool opening, Star Wars gangster fight, because each of them are gambling at different tables. Then you have the deal being made. So it felt very Star Wars-y, very Han Solo types, Hondo Naka stuff. So that was cool. But then they leave and they get a message from Sid that's basically just threatening them. It's basically saying, you guys have been gone for way too long now. I hope you guys know how much I know about you guys, in case you want to back out of our mutually beneficial arrangement. Which clearly they have been for, I don't know how long, it's not specified at this point, but clearly they have broken ties with Sid at this point. They got tired of it. I got tired of it. I'm so glad they broke ties with her. And I'm honestly just waiting at this point, because I know she's going to come back at some point to cause trouble, so I just need her character to just go. Somebody to take her out, because she's just gotten way too annoying and way too annoying, so she just needs to leave. But Fee, after making the suggestion that Omega needs to hang out with more people her age, have more friends, Fee, after hearing their situation with Sid, takes them to a planet called Pabu, which she calls her home away from home. It's run by this very nice mayor named Shep Hazard, I believe, and his daughter is named Liana. And Liana becomes friends with Omega, just like Fee talked about earlier in the episode. There's also an interesting place there called the Archeum, which is a place where Fee says she brings a lot of her artifacts that she collects from across the galaxy she puts them inside the Archeum. That's basically what the place is meant for. It is meant to contain a bunch of different artifacts from across the galaxy. I wonder if they have any force-wielding artifacts. That would be very interesting. But the purpose of it is since the planet contains so many apparently refugees, especially the town that mayor is a mayor of, the artifacts that Fee collects are kind of meant to bring each of these people's culture back to them in some way. So it's a nice sentiment. It's cool. But the Bad Batch stay there for a little bit, get a feel for the town, how nice the people are, because they are very nice. No shady business there. They're aware of the Empire, but they don't think the Empire is ever going to come just because they are such a small town and such a remote planet. So it's very true. I don't think the Empire would ever bother with them. It wouldn't be worth their time. But we've been wrong before about that, so I, at the same time, wouldn't be surprised if they came knocking on their door at any moment. But the mayor treat the batch to a feast. Omega and Liana ride a boat out to the water to see the sunset. Very calm episode for the most part, other than a few tremors that happen in the climax of the episode that become really big tremors, then they discover it's a sea surge. So the water starts to recede. Then there's a giant wave. So a bunch of chaos. Basically, the Bad Batch are up against nature in this episode. How exciting. So the bottom line is the town that they're in on the planet of Pabu basically it has lower levels and it has upper levels, and the giant wave that ends up hitting destroys the lower levels, but they're able to save all the people and bring them to the upper levels. And Hunter goes to save Omega and Liana, and that's basically the summary of this episode. Not a lot going on here. Not a ton. That's basically it. There was some funny moments. There was a moment when they were feasting where Wrecker was like, "I'm full. I'm never full." And then Tech goes, "I shall note this date and time to commemorate this momentous occasion," in his classic sarcasm. So I laughed hysterically at that. Also, there's a moment where Omega is playing with these creatures on the planet, and she's laughing a lot, and Tech is the one to say, "I haven't heard her laugh like that in a while." And again, him being the logistics guy, the more strategy, concerned with the calculations and stuff kind of guy, him becoming more aware of emotion, I guess, and people's feelings and paying attention to how they feel about things, him becoming more aware of that over the course of this season has been cool and has been consistent. So that's been good. But by the end of the episode, the Batch basically just agreed to stay and help rebuild. Stay and help out. Because to Hunter, Omega can have an actual life there. She can have friends there. She can have what he's always longed for her to have, which is all of that stuff. And they get to finally rest. They don't have to worry about Sid, hopefully. They don't have to worry about the Empire. They can just be free. Now, we all know this is going to end. We all know that the Empire is going to find them somehow, and that's what's going to lead to the finale of this season, especially by what was teased at the end of the Zillo Beast episode of episode 11. Clearly, the Empire is going to find Omega. Clearly, the climax is going to take place on Mount Tantus, or at least that's what I'm figuring. Apparently, it's a Mount Tantus. I don't know if the actual planet that the cloning facility is on Tantus, but the laboratory that the Doctor was at in the Zillo Beast episode, that is Mount Tantus. I was not aware of that, but now I am. What? But, yeah, that's it. That's it. That's all we got. And it's funny because I also did my review for the newest Mandalorian episode 3. And no spoilers for that episode, but all I'm going to say is that for this Bad Batch episode and the Mandalorian episode, I was kind of underwhelmed for both of them, especially after coming off of such highs from last week. It's really getting on my nerves how inconsistent these Star Wars shows have been thus far. I got a video coming out that is basically a summary of what I believe are the different states of Marvel, DC, and Star Wars as it stands now, what kind of quality level they're each at. And I mentioned in that video that Star Wars has kind of just been in this place of confusion, this place of inconsistency. Their shows have been up and down and up and down and up and down. And this whole Bad Batch season basically has been a reflection of that. We haven't had a really cohesive story. Not one overarching story, like one through line to carry us throughout the season. It's just been different Bad Batch stories, different Crosshair stories, many of them great, but without that main through line to feel like you're tying everything together at the end of the climax of this season, it doesn't feel as compelling. Also, the conflict, even in this episode, is a little whatever, just because, again, like I said, they're fighting against nature, whatever. Also, the fact that apparently they hadn't had a sea surge on that planet in like 30 years, the mayor said, or something like that. So it's just funny to me that the Bad Batch happened to come when the sea surge did, when the sea surge came. That those two things just happened to coincide. It's just like, we need to find some kind of exciting conflict for the episode, so let's have a sea surge. it doesn't float my boat, so to speak. And yes, the pun was intended. But yes, that's my review for Bad Batch episode 13. I'm disappointed and glad at the same time. I'm glad that the Bad Batch kind of has a new heading. They can stay on this planet and help out. That might be a new trajectory for where the rest of the series takes place, that's going to look like. But I'm disappointed because we haven't been able to remain consistent with those highs. I get that some episodes are not going to be as good as others, but I feel like you can at least make it more exciting than this one was. Especially with what you did with the last Crosshair episode. Because the last Crosshair episode was here, and then this episode is here, and I'm just really tired of the inconsistency. And I wish they rode the high. I really wish they just rode the high. Especially near the finale, being so close to it. I really wish they would have just ascending and not back to this and then that. So that is disappointing, but hopefully they'll bring it back around in the end, like I always say. But thank you guys for watching. I'll try to be a little bit more excited in the next video. Have a very blessed day. May the Lord be with you. May the Force be with you. Goodbye. May the Lord be with you. And that's a wrap.